video topic that I dropped, which is Igor. Igor being the oldest ritual, the most ancient ritual known to or recorded in humanity, right? For those who don't know, my name is Derek Ofadoronwa with the Medicine Shell. I teach Igbo spirituality here on the Medicine Shell. Igbo spirituality, ancestral spirituality, cosmology, um, philosophy, everything, all the intellectual sphere of our ancestors. So if it's a topic you're interested in, hit the like button. So YouTube has made it so the like button is more important than the follow. So hit the like button first, then hit the follow button, and then we'll go from there. So this is Ask Me Anything. You could ask me anything on maybe the topic of Eagle Off or anything that's in the sphere of what I talk about. If you ask me anything crazy, I'll headbutt you. I see a lot of hearts flying, but I don't know who's in here. Who's in the house? Talk if you're in the house. Don't tell me that they're blocking comments. Don't tell me that they're blocking comments. Okay, I see. So, what's going on? What's going on? I don't know. I was through like a game. I almost threw a crib. All right. All right, SC, ndewo, nwanne, ndewo. Keep hitting that like button. Keep hitting that like button. Yeah, YouTube has changed a lot. So, the last live I had, which I actually had to delete because it didn't last that long. I was talking about how I've been sick for a very long time and I'm feeling great now. SC, Udo. So this whole time I've been sick, I haven't been posting videos frequently, but I'm back to normal. But in that time, YouTube has changed so much, so much. So the like button is everything now. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Udo. SC, once we get 5 people in here, we're gonna go ahead and begin. We're gonna keep it chill today. I'm in the middle. Thank you very much. I just thought I was getting old. I didn't even know I was sick. So I went, my wife finally convinced me to get a checkup and, we got the right medication and all that. So do. Nothing fatal, nothing crazy. Just something that would slow you down. But yeah, and there once we get about 5 people, I'll go ahead and begin. This is Ask Me Anything. I recently dropped a video called Igor Ofo Explained, so I'll be explaining Igor Ofo a little bit more. You watch that paid in full video. I haven't finished it. So the audio is really grating on the ear. No offense, bro. The audio is really grating on the ear, but I haven't finished it. I have watched interviews, but since that video, I got more recommendations, and I did watch more interviews from AZ and things like that. So I'll finish that video, but something about that audio was killing me. I don't know why. Udo. I have started it though. But yeah, you never know where these things come from, where these concepts. I spoke to, maybe she's watching. I spoke to, I don't know if you're familiar with Houston rap, but the rap scene in Houston. But I spoke to the one of the relatives of DJ Screw. She's actually a part of our community, and she was explaining that her whole family knows all, like they're really like Screw was like a DBI. Like he was deep in it, like he knew his stuff, like he was really, and I was surprised, right? So yeah, you never know where the knowledge lives, you never know where it comes from. So udo. He says, yeah, I think it's getting better. All right, I'll do my cool. So yeah, once we get 5 people, we'll go ahead and begin. Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah, it was very cool. It was very cool. I was like out of nowhere too. But yeah, their whole family, they have like a family tree and all these different things like that. So, which I don't know if he wants me to be sharing. So, Black Power video. Oh yeah, powerful video on e-golf. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. E-golf fall is exceptionally powerful. Very important video. For those who haven't finished it, towards the end, I give the steps on how to perform it. If anybody wants me to like work with them and guide them through it, just reach out on Patreon. We'll schedule a one-to-one, and I'll teach you one-to-one on how to do it. I talked about his spiritual experience in the video with the sun. Yeah, you told me that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna finish it, but the audio, something about the audio is not working with me. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll see. Udo. All right, we got 7 people in here. He said, let us go ahead and begin. So, Okike Keruwa. We need something that can make some noise. So, where we at? All right, we got this. We'll use my plate of suya. Okay. No. okike kere ụwa, okike bụ ndụ na-enye ndụ, ụmụ gị abịala, ala bụ ala, ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ, ala anyị siri bịa, ala anyị si elo, ala na-enye ndụ, ala bụ nne mmadụ nne mmụọ, ụmụ gị abịala. Ejikwere m obiọma na-ekele mmụọ ọgụ, arụ obi na-agụ, arụ obi na-agụ na-enye akọ, arụ obi na-agụ na-enye uche, nne ọgụ, nne na-edozi ụwa, eze ahịa. Ejikwere m obiọma na-ekele gị. Eji m obiọma na-ekele ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ, ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Owe obiọma ka m jikwere na-ekele mmụọ na-esoro anyị na mmụọ anyị ga-afụ ebe anyị na-aga, makwa na ọwụ ụmụ Chukwu na-ekwu, ọwụ ọfọ n'ogu ka anyị ji na-aga, ọwụ ọfọ ndị ichie ka anyị ji na-aga, ọwụ ọfọ ndị Afrịka ka anyị ji na-aga, ọwụ ọfọ mmadụ ka anyị ji na-aga, ọwụ ọfọ mmụọ ka anyị ji na-aga. Anyị ji ọfọ mmiri, ọfọ ala, ọfọ ọkụ, ọfọ nkwụ. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị na Eke, na Orie, na Afọ, na Nkwọ. Ise. Can I be the guys? I'm live, so we're gonna. I'm live. What's going on? What's going on? The kids heard the noise and thought they were being summoned. Udo. All right. So as I was watching it, it reminds me of the 42 Declaration of Ma'at, and you said it at the end. Yeah. So one of the things that stands out about the Eagle Fall ritual is that if you understand the 42 Declarations of Ma'at, it's the same thing. Now, when they try to retell the story of what's going on in those pyramid scripts, and it's saying this, it's saying that, somebody who's a practitioner in Odinala or some of the other African spiritual systems would have a better understanding of what they're reading and looking at than otherwise. But yeah, those are the 42 laws of Ma'at. My own personal theory is that that's a person, somebody was performing Eagle Fall, right? Somebody was performing and they wrote theirs down. Right? There's no said script for Eagle Fall. There's no, you have to say X amount of things. As you develop and as you grow in your practice in person and spirit, you will naturally feel inclined to say more things. Ultimately, the principle is this: we all have an internal law that was given to us by our chi. We all have an internal truth that was given to us by our chi. And nobody can tell us what it is except we ourselves, right? Now, we can help each other move in the right direction and know where to look and gain the necessary knowledge and so forth. But ultimately, what those rules are, what your spiritual law is, you're the only one who's going to know it, and you're the one who's going to declare it to us, right? And so the easiest way I say for most people to know what those laws are is think of the things that at your core you know are wrong, right? And make a habit of declaring how you have not participated in them. You understand? Because I don't know if you've noticed, but the things that you know at your core are wrong, when you participate in them, it affects you, right? Things happen differently for you. We can talk about everyday things that we encounter, or we can talk about spiritual, like how we feel spiritually, or how we're interacting with the world, or that kind of thing. So, yeah, you're the one who's going to know your laws. I think the 42 laws were somebody back then wrote his own, right? Another person might have a list of 250. Another person might have a list of 12, right? You know, it's depends who's who, right? And then here's another thing too. Namdi, poeba, mba too loud. So another thing, another thing to consider too is the fact that some people's laws are not your laws, right? There's a person who can steal and nothing will happen to their fine. That's because they came into the world to steal. They're engineered that way. You understand? There's a way certain people lie that you can't lie, right? There's a certain way that you lie that other people can't lie too. You understand, right? I have an extremely hard time lying, like myself. And I'm not just saying that to big up myself. I have an extremely hard time lying. It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't live with me well. Depending on the scale of it, it'll live with me forever, right? I remember bullshit I said when I was like 7 years old and it's still haunting me. So I know that my own fault, I'm not supposed to be doing that. You understand? I'm not supposed to be doing that. I didn't mind. Hey, you're early today. Funny, I was thinking of going to bed early. Indigo, I feel like you sleep more than the average person. Every live, you're coming here telling me about every live, you're telling us about how you're about to sleep. I feel like you sleep more than the average person. So, anyways, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, it's all good. I think this is your. I have a hard time lying. Udo, Zaire, Udo, good seeing you. Yeah, I have a hard time lying too. Yeah, but some people can just let that shit just roll off. You know what I mean? And that's it's not a part of their constrictions. It's not a part of their laws, right? Physical violence. Some people can be physically violent. Some people can't. Right. One of the things they use to identify Ndimiri is that they have a very hard time being physically violent. Right. Water people, people who are spiritually connected to water, have a hard time being violent, physically violent. They can pop off, they can lip off, right? But to hurt a person is hard for them. So, let them no, 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 no. I'm in the middle of doing a paper as well, so we're going to see if I can multitask to the level I need to. So we have begun, y'all. This is Ask Me Anything. If you guys have questions and topics, we will discuss those questions and topics. Once the questions and topics run out, then we will hop. So very recently, I made a video called Igor. And for those who haven't seen the video, what Igor is the key to higher spiritual access. Okay? Igor is the key. Namdi, Ganelu, go upstairs. Igor is the key to higher spiritual access, right? So there are certain elements of reality that are accessible to everybody, and then there are certain ones that are accessible to a few people, but then there are some that are out of almost everybody's reach, right? Or they require some type of special access for. And Igor is the key to higher spiritual access. The reason is because the world operates on the principle of Ofo na Ogu. Ofo na Ogu. Now, does somebody in the comments want to tell us what Ofo na Ogu is? OFO space NA space OGU. Anybody in the comments want to say what Ofo na Ogu is? We're going to do that so I can type a little bit. So, anybody know what Ofo na Ogun is? I was told my spirit is water, but I'm not sure. I miss large bodies of water though. And ultimately too, like I said, people can help you, but you will ultimately know. The best way to know is where do you draw strength from water? I think that's a good way for me to know. Do you draw strength from water? Do you draw strength from the sun? Do you draw or moon, sun and or moon? Lights in general. Do you draw strength from wind? Do you draw strength from earth? My neighbor's calling me, so I don't know what that was. Yeah. So yeah, Udo. I've seen. Let me not call him a fool. I like him. But yeah, how do you go about establishing or reestablishing your personal or lineage Ofo? That is a really good question. Ofo no Ogun, truth and justice. Yeah, that's a good translation of it, right? So accessing those higher spiritual spaces require adherence to truth and justice. Justice is not something human beings make up. It is an element of the universe, right? And certain things are not accessible without truth and justice. Ofo na Ogun are not accessible without it. So that's a good translation. How do you go about reestablishing? Okay, do you want? There's 2 layers of answer, right? Hey, Ulama. Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah. My neighbor keeps calling me. I'm not sure why. If something's going on.
What's going on?
Ulu, can you check? Can you check what Jose needs?
Jose,
The neighbor.
what he needs?
Or Ugo. My bad.
He's at the door.
He's called like 3 times. I'm live.
And you're live?
I'm live right now, but he's called my phone 3 times.
I'm not coming.
Okay, cool.
Can I have your phone?
I'm using my phone to go live.
I don't have his number.
No, just go outside and see if he's there.
I'm not going. I'm dressed.
Okay, all right, no problem then. All right, no problem.
I don't have
All right, I'll do it now. No problem. All right, so back to it. All right, so light threads. How do you reestablish a lineage alpha? If you're back home, if you're at home, Ndio Sioux are actually the ones that do that. So you would have to first, one of the first things that's going to happen is all of the firstborns, if there's a lineage alpha is the Ndio Sioux Nemea. It's the Osu people that do it. So, or whatever you call them in your area. Maybe you guys don't call it Osu, you call it something else. But all of the firstborn sons of the family will bring a chicken, right? I think male. All of the firstborn sons will bring a chicken, right? And then you guys will take it to Niosu and they will handle it from there. Now, if you're not at home or from that environment, I guess I have to explain a little bit more, right? To establish if your lineage alpha is destroyed, there are certain people in Igbo communities that are usually connected to the shrine of Allah. These people are known as Usu, Ndi Usu. And so what you would do is go back and make your covenant with the earth by way of that. You go to them, they will ask you to, the firstborn sons of the clan, to all bring their own chicken. Each of the chicken will be sacrificed, and for lineage ones, there's a lot that goes into it. But if you want to start the process, that's as much as you're going to kind of have control of, and then they'll take it from there, right? For personal alpha, you depends how traditional you want to go. If you would need a branch of the alpha tree, a branch from the alpha wood. Very important, the branch cannot be cut from the tree. You cannot cut the wood you use for alpha from the tree. I've been thinking about finding a way to make alpha available, but I can't 100% trust that the alpha, tree wasn't cut. And so when I go back home, I'm going to establish something that'll make it accessible for people abroad. But you get a branch that fell on its own. It has to fall on its own. It cannot be cut. This is very, very, very important, okay? Because I know what people do is I'll say something, they'll start calling that Nigerian they know on Facebook, hey, get me this, get me. You know what he's going to do? Yeah, sure. You understand, right? So chill. But what will happen is the alpha tree will drop a branch for you, and you will pick it up. You will give the alpha tree some type of offering in exchange for taking the branch as a thank you, right? I don't think what the offering is too important, right? As long as it's something of value, because you're receiving something of value, right? And then there's a specific ritual for consecrating it and bringing it to life. But once you do that, right, then you officially have your alpha. If those who want to learn the ritual, reach out on Patreon. We'll discuss it on a one-to-one. Okay. So, would one person have different ego alpha? Yeah. So everybody's gonna have their own. It really is what the person feels like or feels within themselves, right? Just like everybody has their own prayer, everybody else has their own way of doing imbem. Everybody has their own way of doing iwaji. What I gave in the video is the basic flow that everybody tends to follow, but what you say within the flow or what you fill the pockets with is entirely from you. Okay, is entirely from you. But I think the 42 laws of Ma'at is a great example of that. So you can pick things from there that make sense to you. You can make your own, but everybody will say their own. And each time you do it, you won't even say the same thing, right? Each time you do it, you may not say the same thing. I guess I don't really know why you wouldn't say the same thing, but each time you won't necessarily say the same thing. Now, it isn't that you've been doing BS. I don't want to get demonetized or whatever, but it's not like you've been doing BS in your regular life, and then you're like, okay, I'll just keep the BS out. I'll just say all the, like, right, like you've been out here impregnating people's wives, but then you, I'll leave that part out and I'll just say the stuff, the good stuff that I did. No, you can't do that. You can't lie to the awful, right? You can't lie to the awful. You're only lying to yourself. You understand? So, but at the same time, if you have to lie, you're not worthy of holding it. I strongly advise not holding it. That awful thing is no joke, right? It is absolutely no joke. And what the all fall does is after use and over time, it gains more and more power. It gains more momentum. It's like a snowball, right? It just kind of accumulates, that kind of thing, right? And there's an all fall for everything. So everything that you have, that your chi created for you to have authority over or in, there's an all fall for. So there's an all fall for the household. There's an all fall for your gifts as a person. Like a dibia has an all fall, called all fall agum, right? There's a specific, and then you'd get that from the Otu agum or other dibias would kind of help you make that. You understand? There's, if you're an ironsmith, if you own a business, every single thing you've created in the world and have authority over, that you should have an all fall for. So a single person can have 100 all fall. It's not an issue, right? Typically, when people say all fall, they assume it's referring to the lineage all fall, the one that passed down from generation to generation. But that's not the only one. A single person can have multiple. A single person can even have multiple lineage all fall. All right. So who's your travel agent? I want to go home to, my DNA reads Nigerian and Tanzanian. Oh, Oh, wow, Tanzania. I never see that on DNA results, so that's dope. I don't have a travel agent, but once I figure out the situation, I go back, right? The Nigerians do this thing where they don't. Back in the day, we used to not tell people when we were traveling. It's like a cultural superstition, right? You don't tell people when you're traveling. You just tell them when you've landed. So you guys aren't gonna know when I travel. You're just gonna know when I land. So I don't know. What can you say about Nsochi? Nsochi. Okay, good. Because there's an action that weakens me spiritually. Perfect. But I regain my spiritual strength when I abstain from such acts. So this is exactly what we were talking about. This is exactly what we were talking about, right? Chukwubuike. So Nsochi are abominations against your chi, violations against your chi, right? And some people intuitively know them. Some people just walk around, they just know them. But honestly, it takes a lifetime to understand what your chi wants you to abstain from. The things that your chi wants you to abstain from are also referred to as your all fall. You understand, right? There is the all fall between you and your chi and Allah. You understand? The all fall between your chi and Allah that created you says that you will not do this, you will not do this, you will not do this, you will not do this. Right? So when you do those things, your chi is not with you. Do you understand? When you do those things, when you're doing that thing, you can do it, but you're on your own. That's what that means, right? You can do it, but you're on your own. There's an ilu that says, Iririga G Ofoya Awala, which is the worm uses its offal to dig through the earth, right? A worm can never die from digging too much. A worm can never be defeated in digging. You understand, right? It's when the worm, I don't know, tries to fly that the worm now has issues, right? So when you do those things that are outside of your all fall, when you're violating your all fall, it feels like you will physically feel yourself get weaker. Does that make sense? You will physically feel yourself get weaker. And this is the law of nature. When things are outside of their natural habitat, they begin the process of dying speeds up, right? When things are outside of their nature, the process starts. So you have a spiritual nature, which is encoded in your all fall. So that thing you're referring to in Sochi means that act, your chi does not want you doing that act. You can go ahead and do it, but your chi is not with you, right? You're welcoming your own downfall, you're welcoming your own defeat by doing that act. When you abstain, you will feel yourself become stronger, however you define stronger, right? When you abstain, you will feel yourself becoming stronger, however you define strong, right? And that is the compass for finding and understanding what it is that your chi wants lives within you. It is you, okay? The compass for it is you. You don't need a book to tell you when you're hungry, right? Let's use the very basic, simple things. You don't need a book to tell you when you're hungry. You don't need a guide to tell you when to drink water. You understand? Because those things are it's in you. It's not a thought thing, right? But we almost there's more to that than just what we call basic instincts, right? We know what our chi wants. Everybody knows what their chi wants. It is instinctive, right? We may try to deny it or skirt away or close our eyes or look away and that kind of thing. Or maybe we don't. Usually when you have something in abundance, you don't appreciate it. You understand, right? Like I'm very, very, very skilled at history. But to me, it's not a skill because it comes easy for me, right? It's not a skill. Math is difficult for me. I see math as a higher skill than history, historically, not anymore. I used to see math as a higher skill than knowing history because history came so easy for me. There's something about my chi that says, this is for you, this is yours. I can do math, I have to do math, that's fine. I'm not gonna get hurt. It's not so against my chi, right? But there's some things that I'll do that is actually so against my chi, and I'll feel myself feel weaker, or I'm sacrificing a part of myself to do that thing in a way that's not replenishing me, right? So yeah, Nso Chi, for those who don't know, are abominations against the Chi. And as Chibuike has said, when you do them, you will actually feel the consequence is right there. It's live. The thing about Odinala is it works on the principle of cause and effect. Our ancestors are not talking about what they believe. They are talking about, I dropped this little square and it fell. That's Odinala, right? Because I dropped it, it fell. That's cause and effect. And these things that I'm sharing with you are tens and thousands of years of lived experience. You understand? But if you drop the square too, you will experience it as well, right? And if you don't experience it, you have no reason to believe me. Don't believe me. If anything I'm saying doesn't register in your reality, do not believe me. Don't spread it to somebody else. You understand? Right? I'm not here to evangelize. I'm telling you what's real. So if it's not real, don't make it real. I'll do more. So where are we at? Hit the like button, y'all. I guess YouTube only cares about the like button now. Hit that like button. Let's see those hearts go. Let's see them go. Let's see them go. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything. What's going on? I'm not seeing anything. Okay, there we go. 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 All right. Go. I'll do more. Where are we at? What can you say about Zensochi? Okay, we did that. Was a good question. What do wasps mean? Before I even read the rest of your I'm gonna hit this. Before I even read the rest of your comment, I already know what you're about to say because my whole front door is covered in wasp nests right now. So let's go ahead and continue, right? What do Igbo culture, especially when they sting you and they live right by your home door, for example? Maybe it will sting a stranger who came to the same door. Yeah, so I myself have a whole bunch of wasps. I think I'm on like the 6th wasp nest in my front door as well. Before I even answer your question, I'm actually going to Google why do wasps do this, okay? So why do wasps build near front door? Okay. All up in my front door is, and my initial, I was like, I'm going to let them live. But now it's a little OD, right? So I'm just going to look up what the record says before I give you the Odinala answer. Hit that like button. There we go. That's what's up. So why do wasps build the thing next to the thing? Okay, ChatGPT's whack ass is going slow. They don't really say anything. It says just protection, but they always pick the door, right? So okay, so I'll give you the, because these people don't know what they're saying. So when you look at what nature is doing, right? If you ever want to know the meaning, just look at what nature is doing and then move from there, right? So there's something about the wasp, for some reason, for me, they're all up in my front door as well. I was stung by a wasp a couple of months ago as well, right? I don't really know what they mean wasps represent as far as Odinala go. I just know about the bee, right? But if I look at what the wasp is doing, which is, builds its home near the front door or something like that, I'm going to think or I feel that it has some type of relationship with protection, right? Some type of protection or some type of relationship with being a threshold guardian, something of that nature. But I couldn't give you, that's my own guess. I can't give you a definitive answer. I can tell you what the bee represents. The bee is an animal form of Amadioha. Also, Amadioha and Ogun are the same thing. It's the same thing. When we talk about Alfonu Ogun, Amadioha is the Ogun of Allah, of the world we live in, is Amadioha. That's the holder of justice in the world we hold in. And the bee is the same in the animal, on the insect side, right? The bee is a manifestation of Amadioha on the animal side. And it's really cool because throughout Africa, in Igbo land, and then the only other place I saw it was in Uganda, though I heard they do it in Cameroon as well. And all of this is kind of related to some research I'm doing. So from Uganda to Igbo land, there are certain rituals you will do where if a person is guilty, if you line two people up and one person's guilty of a crime, the bees will swarm their face and they'll swarm their hands and they'll just sit there and they won't sting the person. They'll just sit on them and they use that to know who is guilty. Now, I couldn't tell you what the science is on that, but I'll tell you that it is a very common form of truth detection, lie detection in ancestral society, right? They would do something, I don't know exactly what they do, and then they would release the bees, and the bees would swarm the face and the hands of the guilty person, right? And when I first heard this, I was like, okay, that's interesting. I wonder what that's all about. And then I saw the video. They had a video or a picture, I can't remember, in Uganda of them doing the exact same thing. And I was like, there's something there, right? There's something there. So I don't know what is behind it per se, right? But I do know that the bee is a manifestation of Amadioha and Ogun, or the justice-seeking, justice-actualizing elements of nature, of creation. And because of that, the bee is used in a lot of, I don't know if the word is technology or nsi, right? A lot of, let's call it Debia work, to find out who is guilty and who is innocent and so forth. Our ancestors also weaponized bees as like a weapon of war as well. So if you know the relationship between Amadioha and war, it makes sense. I don't know if that translates over to the wasp, but I also have a bunch of wasps at my door, and I also got stung by a wasp in my backyard while trying to mow the yard. So I've been completely off topic, but what do you know about Igbo aesthetics? I've been researching aestheticism, and I'd like to get your view. Do you mean aesthetics like on a philosophical level, or just like the way things look aesthetics? That's an interesting question. And it's a huge question. It's a big question too. I don't know if it's got a quick answer, right? Off topic, but Igbo aesthetics, researching aestheticism. Is it like the philosophy behind the way things look? I have there's a really interesting document in the medicine library. So if you're a patron and you want to read it, message me, but it actually speaks about this. It speaks about aesthetics, right? And the one of the things that I took away from it was that aesthetics should reflect nature, or not should, but the best aesthetics reflect nature, right? The best aesthetics reflect nature. And so when the example that was being used was the guinea fowl, the feathers of a guinea fowl are beautiful, like nature created them as beautiful. And so then you use that pattern of the guinea fowl feathers to create beauty, right? Because nature kind of already gave you the blueprint. This is what this is a manifestation of beauty, right? Or aesthetic, whatever, you understand. So there's that. I think that one of the unique things about aesthetics in the Igbo worldview is there is a lean towards revelation rather than creation, right? A lean towards revelation rather than creation, right? So the idea that the beauty of a thing is revealed rather than created, that you reveal the beauty of a thing. And I learned about this when I was studying Uli writing, right? So the Uli writing system is an ancient writing system among Igbo women, right? It is also identical. I haven't seen a difference to Insibidi, but I know that there's a type of Insibidi that's secret and I don't know about, right? So, but the Insibidi everybody knows matches Uli 1-to-1. So I have a hard time believing that they're unique, two very separate things. Oh, okay. All right. So I'm spying in the neighborhood. So what Uli is you'll see that there'll be these lines all over a person's body, usually drawn by women, and they'll be all over a body and so forth, right? And what is interesting about Uli is that Uli is said, like if you do Uli, there's Uli you do where you're just being cute, right? But there's a type of Uli that women used to do when they were getting married on their wedding day or when they were, after they had their first period. There's a ceremony where you walk through the market with your mother and you're wearing uli and you're looking good, right? And everybody's hailing you and cheering for you for having a period, right? And so what was I saying? So what uli does is if you do it from a diviner, there's a dibia uli, an uli dibia. So an uli dibia, which don't ask me where you can find them. They're rare. I'm still looking, right? Though there's people that are coming into the practice as young women and men too. There's a guy in Germany that does tattoos. So what uli is throughout a person's entire body, right? So you see these lines on my hands. In the ancestral worldview, these lines extend all through my body. So a human being is striped like a tiger. We have all these lines all over us, right? We have lines all over our body. And if you read my palm, you can know about my chi. You can know about my akaraka, which is my destiny, right? Or like what it is that I'll reveal myself to be in the world. Keyword reveal, not really become, reveal, right? Because let's say if I'm supposed to be an Eze, which is like a traditional ruler or whatever, I've always been an Eze. So I'm revealing it to you guys that I'm an Eze. It's not that I become one, right? So pulling it back. So these lines extend through the entire body and the whole body can be read, right? So what an Uli artist will do is it's usually a person who can see these lines all over your body and they'll just draw those lines and it's revealing your true self. It's revealing your beauty or your full self, right? So when you see it done by like a medicine woman, you'll just see lines everywhere and that kind of thing. And the lines tell a story that she can read and so forth. What I know, the only thing I know is that if there's an X on your head, the person is an Usu. And Usu is a person who is spiritually linked to an Abara, right? So you're the human conduit of that Abara. You're the human form of that Abara, right? Like for Adibia, for example, Adibia is not technically Usu, but they call Dibias Usuago because Adibia is the human. Like if I want to talk to, if there's a dibia in a room and I'm talking to a dibia, I'm also talking to Agon. You understand, right? And then dibia at the same time is also representing and living as Agon, right? That kind of thing. So all those, what was that? So as far as aesthetics go, there's an emphasis on revealing. Even when you settle a land, right? Traditionally, when you'd settle a land, you'd perform what is called ntwala, which is you strike. One of the ways of doing it is there's this metal staff that rattles, right? And you strike the earth with the metal staff and it rattles. And based on what the land tells you from the rattle is what that patch of land is supposed to be. So this is one of the ways they determine where the market is going to be. This is where they determine where we're going to actually sit down and live and all that stuff. This is how they determine what is farmland, what is the ajofia. But it's not us choosing these things. The land is revealing it, right? So there's revelation aesthetics, and there's also things like the use of fractals. I think is really interesting. If you haven't noticed by now, Odinala, the Igbo worldview, is a fractal-based system. It's very fractal. So what you see at the smallest level repeats itself at the highest level in the cosmos. And we can confirm what is at the highest level if it is reflected in the smallest level. So any concept that I tell you, right? Anything I tell you that sounds even if it sounds out there, it's in you and it's around you and you can see it. And it has to be able to confirm itself in nature, right? It has to be able to confirm itself in nature. You understand, right? So that's really that. If I hope that answered the question because it was a really good one. If you want to talk more about that, just reach out on Patreon. Guys, patreon.com/the medicine shell, the absolute best way to support the channel. My patrons have full access to my Odinala ritual calendar. Tells you what moon we're in and what day of the Igbo calendar, which our ancestors use a 4-day week. Not a 7-day week. We use a 4-day week, and we follow the moons, right? We don't follow the Roman emperors. We follow the moons, right? So, the wasps are eating my spiders. Yeah, I don't know what wasps mean. I have to double check. I'm not sure, but I do know what bees mean, and I do know what spiders mean as well. And any place I do my work, spiders make themselves at home. Right? Any place, even if it's like, there will be places where, like, for example, when I teach our traditional medicine class, there's a certain seat I like to sit on. And before I chose this without the spiders, but now it's just the spiders choose to be there. Anywhere I set my altar, the spiders will choose to be there. So there's a link between me and the spider, right? And I know this. Even inside of my altar, there's a lot of cobwebbery going on, right? Which is cool. I like that, you know. So I'm retired from the army, and now I feel so stagnant. Oh, no. Trying to see, think, and feel what to do next. Igbo Europe is going to feel something familiar and safe. Well, very much welcome. There's a lot to learn over here. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of pathways for growth. So anything you need, let me know. Thank you for sharing that. You see, Kate, boo. Yeah, when the head disturbs the wasp stings it 100%, right? Cause and effect, right? Cause and effect. Okay, hold on. So I'm gonna take that Elu. Yeah, I think there's a relationship between the wasp and Ugu, based on everything I'm seeing. But I haven't thought about it too much. Does Ogun justice always align with public or community laws? Is it possible that Ogun manifests an alignment of a person's destiny or pure contract to public law? This is a really good question. So yeah, that's a good ass question. A community aspires to reflect justice, right? A community aspires to reflect justice. If a community is incapable of reflecting justice, it will destroy itself. It will cease to exist. Okay? It will cease to exist. That justice is subjective to the community's awful. Every community has an awful. They'll call it whatever, but it is an awful, right? I use the United States, maybe the Constitution. You understand, right? Every time this country is almost imploded, it's because it has been violating its Constitution. Now, the justice exists. Its attempt at justice exists as maybe a declaration, an oath, a law, or whatever, and then how they act may be different. And then that declaration also exists separate from nature, but they are all trying to align with nature for maximum survival, if that makes sense, to be able to thrive and be a part of the ecosystem that is Eke, right? A person's Ofo can differ from their communities, right? A person's Ofo can differ from their communities, but a person has to abide by their communities, if that makes sense, right? So you're under multiple chains of Ofo. Like my Ofo can differ from my dad's, but in his household, I have to keep it kosher by his definition of kosher, as well as mine, right? As well as mine. You understand? Now, because justice is an element of nature, right? Because it is an element of nature, and we're all parcels of nature, each person's Ofo is not going to, like a person's Ofo will not stray too far from another person's. You understand? There are little times and little things here and there that are different, but it won't be radical. It won't be too much. You understand? We're also all under Allah's Ofo Allah, right? Which means that we must know what Allah wants in this world and abide by it, right? So we're under multiple Ofo, and each person's under multiple, but you have your own. Sometimes your own may differ from the ones above you, but you have to keep balance of the all. You understand, right? Yeah, Miss Lovely Nurse Lady, very happy to see you. Says that the WASP or IBU might be calling attention to boundaries, protection, personal responsibility, or the need to remain alert. I think that is a really, really dope insight, and I agree. I agree. I know my destiny does not stop in Texas. He said, I'm contemplating traveling agent classes currently. That would be dope. That would be dope. I think you missed my second question. Okay, Chubika, I'm going to try to find it, but if I don't find it, if you can ask it again, that'd be cool. Okay, you're right. But is there a correlation between Nsochi Agon and Akarakowa? Yeah, they're all the same thing. Or not they're all the same thing. They're okay. Nsochi are just the violations against your chi. Those things are violations against your chi. Okay? Just like Nsoala, violations against Allah. Right? These are violations against your chi, just in Soala, right? The law that your chi is holding you account to is your Ofo right? Your Ofo Owa is also known as your Akaraka. It is also called your Akaraka. A lot of Christian Nigerians will also call it your star. You understand? Because the Ilu says, or not the Ilu, but the ancestors say that when a person is created, when their Ofo is created, there's a grain of sand and a star in the sky for each person that has been created and will ever be created. So they often call it your star, right? They often call it your star, right? Or your Akaraka. It's all one and the same. But when we say Akaraka, we're more referring to, when we say Ofo, we're referring specifically to like principles, your principles, truth, justice, all those different things. When we say Akaraka, we are referring to the principles, truth, justice, but there's also more. The fact that you're going to have 4 children, the fact that you're going to become a travel agent, the fact that you're going to move out of Texas, all those things are in your Akaraka, but it's interlinked, if that makes sense, right? Your Ofo is a part of your Akaraka, okay? But when we say Ofo, or your Ofo, you can say Ofo is your Akaraka. But when we say Ofo, we're referring to the rules that come with that complex of Ofo and Akaraka. And when we say Akaraka, we're referring to the destiny aspect. But your Ofo and your destiny are one. It is through your Ofo that you access your destiny, right? It is through your Ofo. A person who keeps their Ofo, for example, when Christians talk about the star a lot, right? You know, they always go to those Odumeja ass churches, and and then they'll say that somebody stole your star, somebody stole your star. What an Odinala person understands, what the ancestors understand, is that nobody can take your star if you're if you're holding your offer. Nobody can do nothing. Nobody can do anything to you if you're within your offer, right? I can't punish a duck by telling it to go on water. I can't punish a fish by throwing it in the water. That's a better analogy. I can't punish a fish by throwing it in the water, right? So that's what that is. I can't drown a damn, I don't know, maybe a shark or something, right? So that's what that is. If you're within your all you're safe. You're safe. And when you pass or when things happen, it is in the time that your chi ordained for them to happen. Not before, not more, not less, not after. Okay? So now all of that relates to Agun, because Agun is the part of you that came into the world for a purpose. Based on that purpose, your Ofo is formed. That purpose is your Akaraka. Okay? So Agun is entering creation. Agun reincarnates. So your Agun, the Agun you have, sometimes people call it your Chiwa. Chiwa Agun, same thing, right? But your Agun, you share an Agun with your past life self, Onye Lorogi, right? Onye Logi, or however you say it, right? The past life self, when they pass away, that's the part of them, their Agun, comes back into creation. In order to actualize your Akaraka, to actualize your destiny, your Akaraka. I don't even think Akaraka, destiny is good for Akaraka, because sometimes like this is part of my Akaraka, right? Having this little white patch of hair is part of my Akaraka. Since I was when I was a sperm, this was going to happen, right? This was going to happen. I didn't know it until it happened, but it happened, right? You understand? Like I have like dark knuckles. My knuckles are dark, right? That's part of my Akaraka. That's my Akaraka, right? So Akaraka is not always like when I say destiny in the Western, you might think like, I don't know, become a pilot, right? Or like achieving a mission. No, it's the manifesting of what you always were supposed to be according to your chi. So your Agun is coming into creation to actualize an Akaraka. Okay? Your Agun is coming into creation to actualize an Akaraka. Before it can enter creation, it must make an agreement with Allah. That, okay, you're coming to actualize this Akaraka. Agreement number one, you're actually going to actualize this Akaraka. One. Agreement number two, you're going to follow these rules. Boom, 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 boom. Right? And then you enter creation. So the Agun, in an agreement with Allah, creates the Ofo. The Ofo are the rules that give you access to your Akaraka. So it's all one movement. It's all connected, right? And it's really interesting too, because I saw this thing in Japan. I need to turn lights on in here. I think I need to turn lights on, but maybe not, right? So I saw this thing in Japan where they had found a treatment for cancer, right? And one of the things that made this treatment for cancer effective was that it injects a certain bacteria into the cancer cells. And those bacteria let off some type of enzyme or chemical and that chemical is an intrusive thing. It's intrusive. And because that chemical is intrusive, your white blood cells and all your natural immune system fights it, and actually ends up attacking the tumor. The previous issue with cancer, right? And I'm not like a damn oncologist, so I could be wrong. But the previous issue with curing cancer was that your body does not recognize the cancer as a problem, right? Or your white blood, it's just seen as a normal growth or normal part of your body, right? So your natural defense mechanism in your body doesn't activate because it's supposed to be there, right? It's supposed to be there. Why am I saying all of this? That all is what, let me put it this way. The cancer has, in this sense, I mean, this is dark for those going through it, so, bear with me, right? I don't mean harm. The cancer functions like it has the offer to be in the body. And that's what makes it hard to remove. And in order to kill it, you like right now, the thing that people go to is chemo. Chemo just attacks everything. It attacks every single thing, right? Everything that belongs is attacked so that we can hopefully get to the cancer, right? Which is why, people are looking for things better than chemo, because you can kind of see why that'd be a problem naturally, right? But other ailments, if I get like a stomach infection, if I get a damn virus, my body will say this thing is not supposed to be there. This is not a part of the akaraka of this ecosystem of this body. Attack, and it'll be attacked, right? And then hopefully your own natural immune system can win that fight. Most medicines, all they do is activate your immune response so that your body can attack the thing, right? But we've had a hard time telling the body that cancer is wrong, right? Because the way it functions, it's not functional, but your body just kind of lets it be. You understand? And sometimes even helps it. You understand, right? So let's take this back, because in Odinala, as it happens in the physical, so it happens in the spiritual, right? In order for your agon, this is the best way to put it, to not be an invasive species on Earth, it has to hold the offer. If it is not holding that offer, Allah begins the process of expelling it, right? Because we are living inside of an organism called Allah. And that offer allows us to be a part of Allah, like in full, so that it's recognized, but we're recognized by all parts of Allah as, okay, this is what it's supposed to be, right? This is what, now some of us in this body are livers, some of us are hearts, and some of us are some damn cancers, right? Sure, people can name a few, right? But the body recognizes it, everything having its own function, right? Every single thing having its own function. So, and we won't all have the same function, but there are some basic things, right? In order for that organism, right? So if the heart comes into existence to be a heart, it has to be a heart. Once it stops being a heart, the immune system can vary. If your heart just for some reason, let me not use the heart, it's not a good example. If you for some reason your thumb stops being a thumb, right? And maybe I can't get blood flow here, yada yada, and all that stuff. The immune response will start destroying what this appendage I'm calling thumb. Once it's no longer a part of it. On top of the immune response destroying it, the rest of creation will now know this thing is up for grabs. And it can start decomposing, right? It can start decomposing. This is why we pass, all of a sudden we decompose, right? Because we're now up for grabs. So the thing is not holding the offer of life anymore, right? Same thing. When a person's not holding their offer, the elements you're now vulnerable to the elements. Everything, it's you versus all that other stuff, right? If you're holding your offer, you're fine. I said this in the video, and this is one of the funniest things. One of the most recent DBAs that we had teach traditional medicine class. Was it him or was it Nze? One of them, one of the DBAs, they were telling me that the people that come to them the most are church women from church. And that people who are practitioners, maybe you'll go for like, okay, I need this done real quick, I need that done real quick, but like showing up every month, every week, every year, a normal practitioner doesn't do that. Like a man with a chieftaincy title is not visiting a DBA too often, unless it's like physical health stuff, right? They're not visiting a DBA too often. It's not that they don't like it or they don't think it's a good thing or whatever. It's that they understand that so long as I'm holding my offer, I'm okay, right? So long as I'm within my offer, I'm okay. Once I step out, now I can go to a DBA for help. But I know exactly why I'm having this problem. We had, and I don't share details, like when we do the one-to-ones, I don't share anybody's like details or whatever, but I'll go ahead and tell this one particular story without saying names or anything like that. We had a person who came in for a one-to-one, and I thought the one-to-one, I usually leave the one-to-ones alone, like I don't participate, but with the DBA. But this was weird because it was a very young girl, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with this. So I wanted to be there to make sure everything, because this is unusual. I didn't even think there was young people on my Patreon like that and that kind of thing. And the young girl came with her dad, right? And I thought that was also very strange. It's like, yo, what the hell's going on, right? And so I made sure to be there for this one because that was it was unusual, and then of course like you have to have an added layer of responsibility because of her age. And they did Alpha, and Alpha specifically said that the thing that they were trying to address is based off of what her father destroyed. And he's like, it's true that when he was younger, before he came to the country, he destroyed his family's Agun altar, right? The Agun altars are hereditary. They pass on generation to generation. Personal altars don't. They go with you, right? But Agun ones pass on. And that he destroyed it. He was a part of destroying it because he wanted to show the power of Jesus and all that stuff. It's a sadly common story back home. And I don't know how I got here. Oh yeah, he knew why he was having the problem he was having. Maybe he needed a thought to kind of like slap him awake, but he knew what it was, right? So a person who understands the thing kind of knows when to go to the DBM now. But the church people is like, oh, I think somebody put something on me. I think somebody put that on me. Somebody buried something in my backyard. They're coming weekly, monthly, sometimes daily if you let them, right? And a normal person within you, they understand that that's not like nobody can do anything. You can't put a spell on me or whatever. You can't do that to me. I know what I have to do for your thing to work, more or less. So when I do that thing, then now I can go, oh shit, I'm out of bounds. I got to go get right. You understand? But on a day to day, right? I've had people say some crazy stuff to me, and man, okay, go ahead, try it. So I'll do my. What does the Ogun staff do? You talk a lot more about Alpha. So Ogun is not a staff. Ogun is a spirit. Okay, Ogun is not represented in physical form. Everything in my videos, you'll notice I always explain the concept of Chi na Eke because that's the core. If you understand Chineke, you'll understand the whole thing, right? So I always explain the concept of Chi na Eke. Every single thing, I should really say Eke na Chi, right? Every single thing follows the pattern of Eke na Chi. The thing that plays the Eke role in the relationship is always physical. It can be accessed with your five senses, right? It can be accessed with your five senses. The thing that plays the Chi role or the Chi adjacent thing is always non-physical. And it is accessed through your Oseora, right? As they say in the Eastern traditions, your third eye, your light eye. It's actually your spiritual eye. Your spiritual eye. Okay? So the non-physical is Chi in the Chi space. The physical is in the Eke space. I'll give you examples, right? In Odinala, you'll always hear things said in twos. Ofonugu, Alanigwe, what else? Obonuke, and so forth. You always hear these doubles, this and that. The na is and, right? Those of you, I don't know if in Patois they use na, but those of you from the islands, maybe you guys use na as and, right? I feel like I've seen that. But ofo na ogu, ala na igwe, it's supposed to be eke na chi, but I've been told it's been reversed. Different things like that. The last one is always an intangible. So ala igwe is earth. I can touch the earth, five senses, all that. I can take a cup and scoop up earth. Igwe is sky. I cannot scoop up sky and put it in a cup. The sky is a concept. It is not a physical thing, right? It's a concept. It's real, but it's a concept. It's real in the sense of conception. You understand? There's no, it's not a thing I can put in a box and give to somebody else. I can put Allah in a box. I can put earth in a box. Or not, I mean, I guess, but you can put soil or even the earth if you're big enough, I guess, and give it to somebody else. Right? Anyanwu na baraya. Anyanwu na baraya. Anyanwu is the sun. So that ball at the center is Anyanwu. Anyanwu is the ball at the center. Abaraya is literally its spirit, her spirit. Right? Some people say his for Anyanwu. It's all good. It's the same thing. I get it. Right? So there's the sun, and Abaraya is represented with the rays of the sun. Right? Represented by the rays of the sun. So whatever material the sun is made of, if somehow is indestructible, I can scoop it and put it in a cup. I cannot scoop the rays of the sun and put it in a cup. Right? Mado. Now more. You can detect mado with your five senses, using Akko, your five senses, right? More is my spirit, the light around me, right? That some people can see, some people can't, but you can feel. It's an intangible, right? Just like the sky. And so Ofo, I can physically create Ofo. I cannot physically create Ogun. I cannot physically make justice, but I can make the Ofo, which channels Ogun, right? But that being said, there are times where there are different things that represent Ogun. So the feather is a symbol of Ogun. The feather itself is not Ogun, right? You would say like, yeah, the feather itself is not Ogun, but the feather is a symbol of Ogun, okay? Igbo people, we use the fish eagle feather, like that white feather you always see the chiefs wear. In Egypt, they use the, well, I'll say Kemet, I'm not about Arabs, but in Kemet, they use the ostrich feather. And I know a lot of the cultures of Sudan also use the ostrich feather, and the Loa people also use the ostrich feather. So there's this continuum of ostrich, and then it turns the eagle with Igbo people, right? Or it turns the eagle around Cameroon, the Cameroon area, but either way, right? Just white feather, right? Is a symbol of Ogun. Another symbol of Ogun is the palm branch, the palm frond, the palm frond. Those of you who are Christians, you remember when Jesus was walking with the palm frond, right? There are a lot of things in it was funny in our Ogun 2, our traditional, higher traditional medicine class. One of the students, and I hope he's watching now, Mark, I'm calling you out if you're watching, but he would find these things. It's like, that's in the Bible, right? And he'd always kind of like point me back there. And he knew I was very much against the whole Igbos or Hebrews thing, right? But he'd always be like, but look at that though, right? So in the Bible, I believe Jesus enters a town using the palm frond, and then they use the palm frond to do Ash Wednesday. Look at where they put the mark, right? Remember what I was saying about the forehead earlier? They burn it up, they use the ash, and they put it on the forehead there. The palm is a symbol of Ogun. And so in Igbo tradition, if a person was holding a palm frond in front of themselves and walking, you couldn't tax that person, you couldn't harass that person. That person was a messenger of peace and justice. So you had to leave that person alone. They used to have, back in Igbo land, they used to every community has its own government. So communities have their own like little tollways and things like that. And the only people that couldn't be taxed were people that were walking with a palm frond, with a palm in front of them, right? Usually, and that not usually, because it means that they are a messenger of Allah, and they are a messenger of peace and justice. I gotta fix the light situation in here. So hit the like button. Hit the like. I want you guys to flood. Hit that like button. 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 I'm coming back. Hit that like button. Anybody that didn't hit that like button, I'm coming in and I'm banning. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm banning anybody who doesn't hit the like button. I'm banning anybody who doesn't hit the like button. I'm kidding y'all. I'm not going to ban nobody. Hold on. But I will headbutt you if I meet you. Where are we at? There we go. I will headbutt you for not hitting the like button if I meet you. Where are we at? It got dark on us, so I'm trying to fix the light situation. Y'all, ask questions. Once the questions finish, I finish. Once the questions finish, I finish. Ask questions. I'm going to come back to like 100 questions. It's like all got there. I can't know you now for now. Do. All right. Okay, we're back. I think we're back. So, yeah. We're almost back. Let me say that. I think I need my double lights. I need two lights. I think I need two lights. There we go. I did more. Okay, all right. So we're back. We're back, y'all. I went and bought like an expensive ass phone stand, and I'm using like a oh shit. I keep trying to like, be high tech, but I always go back to square one, so I didn't mind. Okay, so I'm gonna go try to find some comments that I haven't read. Okay, the second question, I got that. What is the Ogun staff? Okay, yeah, so there's no Ogun staff. So the rep symbols for Ogun, feather, palm frond, and sometimes DBOs will use like when they do Afa. There's a certain stone they'll call Ogun, and they'll like you touch the stone and they touch the stone, and this is a stone for just making agreements, right? It's just saying that I give consent for Afa to search me, right? It's a consent stone, right? So it is called Ogun. Now it's not Ogun in itself, but it's a symbol of Ogun. It's used to establish oath taking and so forth. So we have the laws of my aunt and my family home. That's dope. I came to the realization that the negative affirmations a week before you dropped the video is beautiful. Is that's dope. That is super dope. Yeah. Yeah, they're very important. And it's also that I had somebody in the village. The village is our Patreon community. And somebody in the village pointed out that he thinks it's really interesting that instead of the rules telling you what you should do, it's you holding yourself account to yourself, right? Or to your chi, right? So instead of thou shalt not, it's I have not, right? I think that distinction is very powerful. And that distinction has to be understood. It's for a person to understand Odinala in full, and perhaps most of the cosmological systems in Africa. But yeah, that's dope that you had that is. And sometimes we know things before they are shown. More na mado, or mado na more, as I was typically said, right? I forgot how it's spelled exactly. Yeah. I'm trying to clean my hands to say these negative affirmations confidently. Do you have advice? So, when you see people doing sacrifices, they are atoning and trying to clean their hands and start over, right? And so they're giving something to Allah, and they're giving something to Allah. They're letting Allah know that they've started all over. My number one advice I would give is that there's a specific ritual called Udochi. Udochi. Udochi is the first ritual we teach, other than like how to break cola. The first like advanced ritual we teach in the traditional medicine class. And Udochi is good for starting over. It is good for starting over. Now we are starting a traditional medicine class. I don't think I know. I'm gonna have to postpone the class to like mid next month, mid August. It was supposed to start next week, but we're not there yet. So reach out to me if you want to be a part of the traditional medicine class. If you want to just learn the ritual, also reach out and you and I can do a one-to-one. I can give you step by step how to do it. Okay, it's a very simple one too. But Udochi is good for just starting anew, right? Like, okay, I was doing all that before. I'm ready to start anew, and it calls all of your higher bodies forward to walk with you, so that you can now walk with new legs. So, Udo.
All right. Mommy said
Mm-hmm.
I could have my tablet on April 10
Why April
instead
10?
of April 11.
Okay, why April 10?
I want to get at least one fair day to play tablet without school.
Do you mean August?
Yes, August 10th.
Okay, no doubt. Right, okay,
And
cool.
also, Mommy agrees with that too.
Okay. Thank you. So I'm trying to clean my hands. Cool. Palm Sunday, yeah, same thing. What is balance considered as? Balance is what the Ogun does. Balance is Ogun, right? Balance is Ogun. Justice is balance. Justice, balance, Ogun. One and the same, right? One and the same. Justice, balance, Ogun. So all of the Abara, which are manifestations of Ogun, which are usually the men, right? Amadioha, Ekwensu, so on and so forth. These ones are always going to be the balancers of everything. They're all going to be the balancers of cosmic order. When things are like this, they step in and do this. When things are like that, they step in and do that. They are the balancers of cosmic order. Okay? So balance is also Ogun. Balance, justice is Ogun. Some other things that are Ogun are like Amadioha is Ogun. Igwe is Ogun. Whatchamacallit? A person who has like a chieftaincy title like Nze Ozo, that's what they're Ogun. They represent Ogun. With a white feather, the people that have the white feather ones, right? Adibia is righteous, but not necessarily the same thing as that. You understand? So, do you think there were people that abused that privilege with the Palm Fund, or you think it had a higher standard moral code back then? Yeah, people abused it historically. I'm not trying to call out specific villages, right? But specific villages actually abused it during the slave trade, right? It was abused a lot during the slave trade. And because of the slave trade, it fell out of favor. The system fell apart. The system fell out of favor, right? Because of that. You understand? So, but yeah, towards the end there, it got abused. Towards the end, it got abused. Prior, not really, right? Not really. And by I mean priors, we have evidence of it from like the time of the Romans. Probably, obviously goes back before then, right? Obviously goes back, but we have concrete evidence from like the time of the Romans up until like the time of like the Civil War in America, right? So, I don't know. Hey, Udochi in there, well. Udochi in there. Well, if you guys don't know, for those who don't know, Udochi is the founder of Motadiota. So if you ever see those Igbo cartoons, the really well drawn Igbo cartoons, that's her. So Udonanda. Where are we in the Igbo calendar? Do I know today is in Qual, but not beyond that? Oh, so I need to fix. I have it on my to-do list for this week to fix my calendar because I do think I'm one moon behind. I think I'm a moon behind for some reason, or I know the reason why anyway. So let me go and look. So we are in, and I don't even know the English month, so this is normal for me. Those who have dealt with me for long enough, I don't do times and dates like a reasonable person. So, where's the new moon? New moon, new moon, new moon, new moon. I need to update the calendar, but I believe we're in the moon after, we're in the seventh moon. We're in the seventh moon. So this is the moon after Onwa Agun, and it is a planting moon. So whatever it is, the Onwa Agun, the sixth moon, was a cleansing moon. And the reason I know that we just exited Onwa Agun, other than the calendar, was the fact that like a lot of those big masquerade shows came out. So if you guys are watching my shorts, I was posting a lot of dancing and things like that. So those ones come out on the sixth moon and then the seventh moon, because the land is being cleansed. And so this is the seventh moon, we begin planting, right? So whatever it is we wish to manifest by fall, I think in 4 moons, in 4 moons, we would plant today, we would plant now. The previous moon was a cleansing moon. If you didn't have a chance to do anything that was like a cleansing ritual, one of the things that is one of the ones that I know about is you can either write or speak all of the things that plagued you or all the things that held you back this previous year so far, into a clay pot, and you smash the clay pot at the corner of your kitchen and you sweep them out. For those of you who are married men, your wife will do that. If you're not, then it's not that deep. You'll sweep it out of the house, and then once it's out of the house, you of course dispose of it. That is one of the simpler things that can be done during Onwa Agon. One of the simpler things. But you have to, whatever it is you don't want to plant into the soil, physically and spiritually going forward, you let it out during Onwa Agon, which is the previous moon. You dispose of it, and then you start anew. Okay, so that's something, Aurora, if you're asking. What are some signs that you have an ocean spirit as a spirit that's supposed to be alive in your life? That's a good question. So, Ndimiri, if water gives you life, if water gives you life. So some people, when they go by water, you'll feel it, right? When you go by water, you will feel it 100%. That is one. Does water activate your spirit? Does it activate your ability, your creative flow, all that stuff? Do you feel grounded around water? I personally feel grounded around soil, right? When I'm dealing with soil, when I'm dealing with earth, I wake up. I feel different, right? It empowers me. Some people it's light, right? Sometimes it's the sun. Those people you'll see that are jogging at like 12 a.m. and like the blazing heat, those people, or just light in general, the moon, people are connected to the moon, they feel it, right? You feel it. I think that's the best way to know. Some people check through their birthday. If you're checking through your birthday, here are some things to factor. You have to make sure that you're accounting for time zones, right? And then you're accounting for the fact that the day doesn't start at 12 for Igbo people. The day starts when the women open the market. That's when the day starts, which is also the same time that the rooster makes its noise. Okay, so just factor those two things, and if you want to go by day, but I go by feeling, right? You can feel it, it's real, right? So when I first set up I always tell the story. So when I first set up my altar, it was like indoors, it was on a table. It just looked like a bunch of stuff. Like it's like, okay, I don't, okay. And then I moved it outside into a garden, and I got superpowers. So so I knew, and I've always known that the soil is my element, right? Earth is my element. Afro. I don't know. Akachuku or Akonchuku says, any tips on creating my own altar? I'm new to this and I'm looking to get closer to my chi. So Akonchuku, I have a video called and it's like how to create an ancestral altar or how to create an altar, something like that. And the next video I'm going to make is going to be like how to start. Like if you are interested in Odinala, how do I begin? Right? Because I don't know why I haven't made it in all these years. But in that video, I'll also explain that. So since you're here, I'll give you a little bit. Your altar is going to be a representation of you, with the understanding that you are more than this here, right? You're more than that. So you have something at your altar that represents yourself. And then you are going to be learning the names of your ancestors. And as you learn their names, you're going to have something on the altar that represents them as well. Because that's all a part of you. You're a part of them. It's all the same person, right? So you're representing your ancestors there. That's the core. That's basically it, right? That is the core. Okay. Now as time goes, if you have an Ofo, you're going to add the Ofo there. If you have an Ikenga, some people use their Ikenga as their representations of them. You're going to place it there. As you're going to accumulate different things over time, right? And what is it that you're accumulating? You're not really accumulating things. Remember I was saying earlier, if you were here earlier, that you're revealing what's already there. So once you become aware of what's there, you make a symbol for it. Some people learn that they're water people, so they have a lot of things that relate to Nemiri at their altar because they learn, oh, that's where I come from. That's my source, right? That's the door I came in the world with. So they'll have something that represents Nemiri there. Some people may learn that they have some type of connection to Amadioha, so they'll have some type of representation or something there. Because again, it's like your altar is almost like a spiritual map of who you are, right? It is a spiritual map of who you are. It is more of an art project than it is a doctrine. So you, in your own expression, in your own artistic expression, will represent those things. Now, here's the main thing. Whatever it is that you're representing has to feel like what you are representing. It can't just be that, okay, I'm going to use, I don't know, whatever to represent this person, right? I mean, you can if you want. Yo, somebody throw a donation. He said, Mercurial Love, I appreciate you. So whatever you put there has to feel like what you are representing, okay? It has to feel like what you're representing. So if I am representing Nemiri, right? The thing I have that represents her has to feel like her. This is why everywhere you go, you can go to the Caribbean, you can go to Gullah Geechee country, you can go up and down Africa, you can go to Atlanta. So you're always going to, for some reason, water is a beautiful woman, right? It's a beautiful, because that's who she is, and she's going to reveal herself as that, right? But if she hasn't revealed her physical form to you, when you go by the water, what do you feel? Okay, whatever you're putting on your altar has to carry that same spirit. I'm saying feel for people who, whatever, but I'm really saying spirit. It has to have the same spirit. This is why people's altars always, like when they represent their ancestors, they'll use things that their ancestors have used before. Like, let's say I had an ancestor that liked to smoke cigars, so I might have a cigar there. You'll see a lot of like kind of funny stuff in people's altar, like a can of beer, like all these things like that, because that's that. Like maybe when you sat next to your grandmother and she's drinking, you can smell it on her breath, and that takes you back to her. It has to be there. All of those things that take you to that place. Now, of course, a lot of your ancestors you haven't met. Most of them you haven't physically had a visceral encounter with them like that, right? So it's up to you, right? But it is more of an artistic expression than a doctrine. So I can give you that very core, and then you take it and run with it and do what you want with it. If you want me to kind of help you more and walk you through it, message me on Patreon. We'll go piece by piece and do it right. Okay? So I'll do my. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm moving. Hey, I appreciate the questions today, guys. You guys are really cooking. What are some signs that you have an ocean's? Okay, we already did that one. Tips on creating, we did that. What's the difference between? Okay, so I'm gonna add some more. I'm gonna add some more. Make sure your altar is touching the sun. Make sure it's touching the sun. Okay. It would also be optimal or ideal if it's touching the earth as well, but everybody doesn't have that luxury. You can also use trees that already exist as your altar or your focal point in your altar, right? Or plants and things like that. So, but it has to make sure the sun is touching it. Okay, specifically the rising sun, which that should anything that's covered by the sun should cover that. What's the difference between I have not and thou shalt not? Thou shalt not says that the divine is outside of you, instructing you. I have not says the divine is within me, guiding me, right? Are you hearing? You see what I mean? I have not. Thou shalt, they're different, right? Thou shalt not is you shouldn't do that. But to be fair, the Ten Commandments is just Omen Allah for Jewish people, for Hebrews, right? Hebrews, right? It's just the Igbo people have that as well, right? Every land has its laws. And before you can enter, look at that story. Look at that story. Before the Hebrews were able to enter the promised land, before Agun was able to enter the world, right? The you, your body, this new physical corporal self, right? This new life, they have to make agreements with the land. Now the Bible says it's coming from the sky, but it's a stone tablet. That shit's from the earth, right? So the earth gives them these laws. Da, 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 da. Same thing with us. The earth gives us our laws. Da, 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 da. So long as we hold to these laws, we are protected in this land. If we violate these laws, we're not. So what you see in the Bible over and over is a group of people who are given these laws, they violate them, they are destroyed. They rebuild, They remember the laws, they violate them, they are destroyed. Over and over and over till they're ultimately dispersed and okay, you can't have the Holy Land no more. Go, get out of here, right? Right? Which some people forgot that part of the story. Which some people forgot that part of the story. But it's the same thing, right? It's a story of Ofonugu. It's the story of Ofonugu. That's what it is. If you can read it from that level, right? Goodbye. Udo Mama. If you have an all-fall, that does mean if you have an all-fall, does that mean you're present all harm or just certain kinds of harm? If you having the all-fall is, I mean, if you have an all-fall, anything can happen. But if you're within your all-fall, the only thing that can harm you is your chi, right? The only thing that can harm you, the harm you experience is the harm you're supposed to experience, if that makes sense, right? The harm you experience is the harm you're supposed to experience if you're within your all-fall, okay? So if I'm in my house and I don't have sprinklers in my house and it's raining outside, I won't be rained on. If I step outside, I get rained on, right? If I step outside, but within my house, I can't be rained on. Unless I turn on the sprinkler system that for some reason I have in my damn house, right? If I turn on, then okay, yeah. So it's very much like that. But just having an all-fall doesn't mean that you're protected. It's about being in alignment with it, right? It's like a house. It's like being in the house, right? So, and there's, like I said, many all-fall. There's the all-fall for you as a person. There's the household all-fall. There's the lineage all-fall, which sometimes are the same thing. Sometimes, often they're not. Most often they're not. There's the all-fall that your community has in Igbo land. Anybody that's the Eze or B, that's just the person that has the all-fall for the community. So what that person will do for the community every day, well, they're supposed to, every day is perform Igbo. That's what they do. And there's this really good video, I think BBC Igbo or one of those people put out a video of the Omo of Asaba, right? The Omo of Asaba is the female, the women's leader, right? The women's leader of the Asaba people, right? And she said that most of what she does in her job is just to pray, is to perform Igbo, right? So she sits down, she performs Igbo all day, and then people may come to her like, hey, I need help with this, or this problem's happening, that kind of thing. But she said that's her job. And the OBs all the same thing. They're letting people know that they themselves are holding within the awful, and then the community is, to the best of its ability, trying to keep it together, right? And they are keeping it together on behalf of the community. You understand? On behalf of the community. That's why, until recent, traditional leaders couldn't break or couldn't do things that the ancestors didn't do, right? So some communities had like a traditional ruler system, some didn't. And then it was later imposed partly by the British, because people always say it was just the British, but the Nigerian government actually created almost all of these these traditional rulers. And those ones, I don't know if they follow the rules or not, right? I don't know. Some of them, I heard one of them was drives a taxi in the UK, and they do that's wash, right? But in the Igbo tradition, it's the people who take on titles who then play that role for the family, right? But in places like Benin, the Oba of Benin is the person holding the awful. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, is the person holding the awful for the community, to my knowledge. If you go to the different Obas and Alafins, all the traditional rulers in Yoruba land, they're holding the awful. Some of them, like Obi of Onacha, things like that, they're holding the awful, that kind of thing, and they're doing the awful. But for Igbo people, mainly, it's the titled people. It's whoever has titles in your family that's doing it for the family, right? So different system. So I don't know. I cleansed last moon, but something caused me to backslide to a bad habit today. Is that bad? Keep trying. You're okay. Keep trying. It's difficult. It's difficult. But let me say this. Acting against your own will is a sign that there is something wrong spiritually. Something within you is not aligned with everything else. So there's something that is a symptom, right? whenever I, let's say, backslide or do something crazy, I know that it is a symptom of something being wrong with me. I am outside of my spiritual house, more or less, right? Um, and you'll notice they come in like in patterns. They come in or like in collectives. We all know what it means to live a healthy life or to live a righteous life or to do good by ourselves and do good by the people around us. But I don't know if anybody has noticed this. It's when once a person either accepts that and is there or doesn't accept that and isn't there, right? And so you can try to be there, but if I don't know, I'm not saying this correctly. I'm not saying this correctly. I am not saying this correctly. When people have addictions, right? I don't know if anybody has anything they're addicted to, but when you have addictions, you notice that when you fall back into your addiction, you also fall back into all the other vices that you do, right? It's never just the addiction and you're keeping everything together. Let's say you, I don't know, have a gambling problem. And then you stop gambling and maybe you start working out because you think working out is better than gambling, right? For some reason, I'm saying this as somebody that's worked in psychology in the past and that kind of thing. It's kind of my world. I study it as well, and so forth. For some reason, when the person backslides back into the gambling, they lose the good habits, or they holding on to the good habits that don't seem related. They don't seem related. All of a sudden, it's harder, and they eventually let go. So that backslide, right, is usually a sign that there's something at the core that's not where you want to be. And so that thing, that entity, that part of yourself has to be identified and addressed. Okay? You have to figure out what it wants. This is like some traditional medicine class stuff. You have to figure out what it is, what its name is, and what it wants. Right? This is the core. And then from there, how to coexist with it and get it to start moving the direction you want to move. Right? So I don't know. But you went back to your old video format. I'm sure it's not easy to do. Yeah, it's not easy at all. It's not easy at all. And but I don't. People think that as one person thought I was like I just like run the thing through AI and AI makes it. I make all that shit piece by piece. Like I do that thing inch by inch, bro. I'm sitting there like, nah, the leaf gotta be right there, and I'm doing that shit piece by piece by piece. It's not always perfect, but damn it, I'm making some goddamn masterpieces out here, man. And some of the stuff, like just a little thing like a damn something blowing by. You don't know what it took to get that thing to blow by. So, but I love doing it, right? One of the reasons for some reason it became hard because it used to be natural and intuitive, and it became hard. And then I figured out I was actually physically sick, right? I figured out I was actually sick, and then I got the medicine, and I'm feeling good now. Now I'm just like, I'm back, right? And so, kind of going back to what I was saying, right? It's something was keeping me from my house where I was supposed to be, right? I was like, am I getting old? Like, what's going on? And then I identified it was a physical health thing. And all of a sudden, all of these like higher instincts, let's call them higher instincts, higher self, kicked in and became natural again, right? So yeah, Udochi, I appreciate that. But yeah, people think, I mean, I might like sample a little thing from AI and things like that, but one day I'm gonna run a live. I'm gonna show you guys how this shit is. I'm out here making I'm making my own damn odysseys, man. You know what I mean? I do my damn, you live. We live, man, we live. Appreciate your golf off video. The tone in which you explain things in the video makes sense. I laugh because you sound like a teacher. It's passionate yet fed up. I think that comes off in that video because I think my kids were driving me crazy because I'm trying to record and there's like two of them now and they're being loud. And so I think I heard that tone in mind. But next time I'll chill out. I'll chill out more because I'm not trying to. Oh shit. And there were light threads. I appreciate it. Let's ring the bells for light threads. Yay! Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, anytime you guys throw these donations, it tells me I don't have to be what do you call that Spider-Man guy? The oh yummy, like them TikTokers that used to do that thing. I don't know why they stopped. That shit was funny. Can you please can you make a video teaching about Udo and Ogungun? Chibike, yeah, it's coming. Wait, you make images on your video? Yeah, I no, okay. So I will like find something, whether it's made of AI is whatever, but oftentimes like let's say like this is like I've been video editing for like off and on for like a while, so it's kind of taboo to like talk about your process because it's like okay, buddy. But let's say there's like sometimes sometimes the things you're seeing are from two different videos, but I've spliced it in a way that look like they're interacting with each other, kind of, or whatever. Or one will be like a thing, maybe it's AI, but then one of the one's like a painting, and it's like it's just like I don't know. But no, I don't just like it's not just AI like pumping out the whole thing. No, you think that it's not. It's not. In fact, I was doing this shit before AI like was a thing, but it's not like I don't know how to explain it, right? They're like spliced. It's like a you know, it's like sampling, right? It's like sampling. So yeah. Can you make a video? Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Why were the first people dwarves? Damn, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know, but it is throughout the African world. That is the story that gets told over and over and over. So I don't know. I don't know. But that's the story they tell again and again and again. God, I appreciate that, Udo. But yeah, I don't know why the first people are dwarves. It's a concept. You know, I was supposed to be typing a paper, which is due in 3 hours. So I'm going to start typing it now. Hopefully, we can do both at the same time. So if you guys don't have questions, I'll even hang out and be typing. So, but yeah, I don't. Where are we at? I don't know why the first people were dwarves. Those who don't know, are you in school? Yeah. I'm in school. I'm in school. So I um. I was invited to be a part of the Black Educators Forum, which was a huge honor, and everybody keeps calling me doctor. And I'm like, I ain't no fucking doctor, bro. But it tells me, right, one thing that it did, and it's funny too, because the reason I'm back in school, one of the reasons I was back in school is because of AFA. I did AFA. When I was learning about AFA, I decided to do AFA, and AFA told me something really specific, kind of funny, but it got me back into school. And then, but yeah, it's the same thing. I'm supposed to have a doctorate, so I'm getting it now. What you in school for? Uh, why'd you ask it like that? I'm in school for psychology, right? Psychology, right? I did one. Mm, is it me or does Halloween seem very similar to a Purity Moon festival where they make that? Yeah. And Halloween is okay. So if I'm not a times and dates person. If you take the Onwa Agon and then you plant something now, whatever you're harvesting will happen at Halloween. You see that? You do Onwa Agon, you clear the Purity Moon, and then you plant, and then it goes, and then I think one of them usually like whatever the Virgo, whichever moon falls at the same time as Virgo is Onwa Alomchi, which is the moon, like the women's moon. And so during the women's moon, you speak to the unborn, right? So we usually talk a lot about ancestors, but during the women's moon, women speak to the unborn and things like that and welcome them into the world. And then I believe, not a time and date person, the moon after or another moon, whichever one falls around Halloweenish time, is the harvest moon. So you see that? Yeah. Think about getting a creative writing or doing a linguistics degree. Yeah, so I also want to do, yeah, damn, dude. I don't don't you? What the hell? Yeah, so so literally every single thing you just wrote, me too. But I don't want to do medical school, right? I don't want to go to medical school. It's not that deep, right? For me, it's not that deep. But I would advise it. I mean, if you're going for it, you have the brain and you have the capacity. I think you can do it. So, have you learned African-centered psychologist Wade Nobles and your friends? Yeah. Well, here's the thing, Ifa. I'm looking to follow in their footsteps, right? I'm looking to follow in their footsteps. So there's a lot of things I know that I can bring into practice and so forth. So I'm looking to follow in their footsteps. So I don't mind. When I was a child, I used to do readings, cowrie shells in a box, and there's traditional divination. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Is it? Definitely. Yeah, yeah. Very common. Very common. Big time. Very common. So that's amazing that you did that as a child. That says something to me. I don't know if it says the same thing to you, but it says something to me, and it says something very profound. So yeah, very common. Very common. Thank you for sharing that. I gotta type this thing. All right. So please do my qualities of religion. I'm like kidding myself too. So don't you think I'm okay? Okay. Number one, look for papers. So do. I like my professor in this class. He's a brother. Yeah. Ah, shit. So hold on. Where am I at? Ancestors are pleased with you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. They spoke to me. That's what got me where I'm at. They spoke to me. So I'm done. Yeah. Y'all, I'm waiting for questions. It looks like you guys are all out of questions, which reasonably I should just go, right? So I can type this damn paper. Reasonably, but I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna see. I've seen people go live and just be standing there. So sometimes I overthink it. Sometimes I manage to just chill, right? Nope. There we go. Do you teach Afa in the traditional medicine class? Yes, yes, we do. We do. So I wrote a book, Udochi. I don't know if you knew this, but I wrote a book which I'm going to be publishing pretty soon. But we use it as a textbook, and the last chapter is Afa. So I have the Afa Codex, and then we teach what every single thing in the Codex means, how to activate your Apapala, how to read Afa, how to, and like kind of the rules around it, the ethics and things like that, the history of it. So yeah, 100%. It's one of, we teach it in Algon 1 and Algon 2. So introduction and kind of more in depth in Algon 2. So yeah, 100% we do. Okay. Okay, so I have to describe the physician and patient relationship, and then back it up with credible sources. Ganges is a to create. All right. And then I need a quote. All right, so let's see what questions. Do you think the dating of Igbo artifacts to 900 is accurate? I wonder if the culture is more ancient. There are different generations of artifacts. So there are artifacts that date to 900. I think you're talking about Igbo Ukwu, but the ones in Leja and Opi are, oh, I think about 2,000 years older than those ones. The Leja and Opi ones don't get spoken about as much. I think the Igbo Ukwu, because they look ornate and they're cute, they get talked about a lot. So there's Leja and Opi, which are about 2,000 years older than the Igbo Ukwu findings. And the Leja and Opi ones are, oh my God, the ones in Uturu, Uguele, and Uturu are like around Okigwe and Uturu in Abia State. Those ones are the oldest evidence of human life in all of West Africa, right? And they date back to the time of the woolly mammoths. I think they are, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, maybe it was like 90,000 years old, something like that. And there's a lot, it's not just like one little pot, it's like thousands of artifacts piled at Uguele. So Igbo Ukwu is even recent compared to those ones. Opi and Leja is the next oldest generation, and then Uguele is the oldest by far generation, right? It's the oldest artifact finding, right? So, and all three of those sites are actually related, right? They're actually related to each other. It's the development of iron by our people, right? I think Leja is the oldest iron site in the world, I believe, right? There might be one that's older than it, but I'm about 60% sure Leja is the oldest iron site in the Mean. It was the first place humans developed iron smithing. If it's not the first, it's the second, but both places didn't interact with each other, right? And so, dating the Igbo Ukwu to 900, it may not be accurate. Usually with African things, they push it up because, you know, so because whatever. So it might be from 900 or it might be earlier, but it's definitely not later because if it were later, they would say so, right? Yeah, and like I said, there's just different generations of artifacts. And let me just leave it at that. Yeah, so there's different generations of artifacts. Those three are all in Igbo land, and then Uguele is the oldest, just period. That's like 90,000 years ago, right? 90,000, something about 93,000 years ago. Which is like for a historian, it's you can't fathom that distance in time. You can't for context, woolly mammoths were still alive. It was the ice age was just ending. What else? Like other hominids like Neanderthals and stuff, they were still walking around in Europe and Asia and things like that. Maybe North Africa even. What else? I mean, it was tigers in that time. Like it was a different time, right? Like it was the caveman time for real, right? So, but we have artifacts that are that old. So, Igbo Ukwu is like one of the more recent ones. Igbo Ukwu is like 900, 800, things like that. I think Igbo Ukwu is probably from the time of the Romans, right? So, yeah. All right, let's go. All right. So I think I missed questions. So cool. Do you think that okay, the dating code. Do you think or do you know anything about metalwork pertaining to Igbo spirituality? I've just recently gotten into blacks. Izenwa. Hey, Izenwa. I think you know the answer and you just wanted to ask because you wanted to hear me say something, right? Ironsmithing started in Igbo land. And I'm not one of these people that just say things because I feel like it. This thing that you're doing it's all in Igbo, Maria. And it's because of that thing that things like the Bantu migration happen. The Bantu migration, it's just a whole bunch of stuff, right? It's the core of everything. It's ironsmithing. Even if you go back to the story of the founding of Nri, you remember that Nri came down, the water was muddy, alati deke deke, and then they called an ironsmith from Oka to use his bellows to dry the land, right? To dry the land. So not only is ironsmithing always been a part of Igbo, and it carried on a lot of the masquerade traditions are actually ironsmithing guilds. So the one that's very popular is, remember I was talking about Leja and Opi. The artifacts at Leja and Opi are iron slags. That's like leftover residue from ironsmithing. And there's about, I want to say, 1,000 years of continuous ironsmithing happening on that land, and it's all piled up in these specific places. And when you carbon date the iron, the further you go, the more you dig, the further back you go, right? So this is like a very basic dig that found out that it's around 2,000-ish years old. If you dig further, there's older ones there, right? So the whole thing started there. The whole thing started in Igbo land, right? Ironsmithing there. So in that same ledger, there's a masquerade tradition known as the Omabe Society. Omabe Society is originally a guild of ironsmiths. And if you wanted to join if you want to learn how to ironsmith, you must first join Omabe. Once you join Omabe, we can now tell you the secrets of ironsmithing. And then one of the things our ancestors used to do that they're famous for, this whole thing where we travel all over the place, right? That didn't begin after the Civil War. That's been happening. That's been the origin of our people back. Because what people would do is they would learn a skill like ironsmithing or surgery, things like that. And then they would go to different communities and perform the skill and, make money and all that stuff and come back to the village, right? That's always been what we've done. So I have stories like I have the historical account of, the town Oka. Even in fact, the town Oka is they're ironsmiths. All that's why the town was founded, was to do ironsmithing. Oka, Nkwere in the Imo State, ironsmiths. There's just a bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of them. Of course, Leja Opi. There's another one in that area too. Ugwele ironsmiths and things like that. And usually, when the community has the ability, they keep it to themselves, and they only keep it amongst their members, and then they go out and perform it and trade it and that kind of thing. But the one thing that made the Bantu migration possible was mastery of iron, and that's the difference between a Bantu person and the other people that they found in South Africa, right? Who didn't have iron technology. So the Bantus were root farmers who used iron, right? And the oldest iron sites in Africa and the world as well is in Igbo land, right? If you tell these South Africans their origin, if you tell these South Africans and Congolese people their origin, they'll argue with you, right? Even these Edo and Yoruba people, if you tell them where they come from, they'll argue with you. But when they're ready to actually talk history, it's there. And the clearest evidence is this is where the ironsmithing was happening, and this is the thing we all have in common, right? So I don't know. So you've tapped into something very deep. I cannot tell my VA psychologist any of this information. Yeah. So one of the things that inspired me to kind of go forward is that a lot of people don't feel comfortable speaking to a Oyibo Oyibo psychologist because they won't understand these things from the ancestral perspective. So, I just need the certification so I can do what I want to do. Do you do work? Do you work or involve yourself with life path numbers? No, I do not. Also, how do you feel about event-based timing and how it can affect how we view history? Event-based. Oh, that's a good ass question. Damn, you guys are philosophical today. Event-based timing. African timing is event-based, right? African timing is event-based. So that's a big question. So I'm wondering what specific thing you want me to look at there, because I can have a whole channel about that, right? Event-based timing, how it can affect how we view history. I think history is interesting because when a lot of like Eurasians tell history, there's a really big focus on war, right? So it's really just the story of bouncing from one war to another war to another war. And that has skewed a lot of their and people who are influenced, which is everybody, influenced by them's view of what history is. You understand, right? They've skewed it. And I often think, I not even think I know that when human beings tell history, they are doing it to justify something in the present or something they intend to do, right? So something in the future. So people tell history so that they can say something about themselves in the present. And I think this is a very dishonest approach to history. I'm still debating whether I want to go do a history one or a psychology one, right? But that's a whole different thing, right? So there's I'm young, I can do both. But people tell history based on what they want to happen. So when I have an intention, I go into history and I look for events that justify my intention. So this is a dishonest approach to event-based history or history telling, right? But history is usually done retroactively. It's usually done to say something about the present. Now, if you understand that, now if you study when the I guess I don't know, scientific chronicling of history, it started in the West. Ask yourself what they were trying to do at that time, and everything will make sense as to how what events they choose to talk about and why. Right? It'll all just click. Oh, I get it. Right? It's all storytelling. It's all storytelling. Nobody knows what the fuck happened in the past, bro. Nobody knows. And you'll never know. It's already happened, right? It's all storytelling. Even if you knew, you don't know, right? Even if you knew, you don't know. You can witness a car accident and go about your day and not know 90% of what happened at that car accident, right? That kind of thing. Even with evidence, right? So, on the month. We're going to clinical psychology, like patients, if so, building a business model. That's dope. If so, yeah. So I don't know if I want to do like, I'm not planning it. If this is gonna sound crazy. Hey, Zinwa, thank you. He said, so I am not planning. How do I put it this way? And my wife thinks I'm crazy with this. I don't know when I'm graduate. I don't know when I graduate, right? I don't want to look at the date. I don't want to know what class I got to do next. I told my advisor, just throw the classes at me. I don't ask me which one I want to do. Just throw them at me, right? And I don't look at the time. I'm not really planning it. I'm kind of letting it just develop on its own. So I know I'm moving in this. I guess maybe it's unorthodox, right? And I think I kind of get the luxury a little bit because I'm not really going like on some like because of like a job or something like that, right? But I'm gonna just spin my ball in this direction, and then events will take it to where it's supposed to go. I'm interested in the research aspect, right? I'm more interested in research than I am in like therapy, like doing therapy with people. But I do know that I have a lot to offer in the therapeutic, um, like as far as like methodology and practice, and just from everything I've learned from Odinala, that can do a lot, right? That can do a lot. But I'm more interested in the research, right? So I'm focused kind of on the research aspect. But if the ball rolls towards that way, I'll accept it. And the reason I'm doing it this way is I've learned that everything that has worked well for me in life, I haven't planned it. I've kind of just let it just take me wherever the hell it wants, right? I did like this channel, right? I didn't. You guys all planned this. What do I do next? Do this. Okay, all right, I'll do it. Hey, you should open a Patreon. Okay, yeah, sure. Hey, you should have classes. All right, yeah, sure. You know what I mean? So I've learned to not I'm gonna do this next. I'm gonna do that. Just start moving in that direction, and okay, it will reveal itself. Or as the Ilu says, uche oko neche uche, mana uche neche oko, which says wisdom or the feet wait for wisdom, but wisdom waits for the feet. So I'm gonna start moving my feet, and the wisdom will drop on me when it's supposed to. So yeah. John, you got it, 100%. Have you thought about anthropology as well? Yeah, that's a possibility. I could do that too, right? I can do that too. So dropping jewels, I'm taking notes, Udo. It's definitely the oldest. The second is in Turkey. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I didn't know. So yeah, Leja is the oldest iron site, and then the oldest is in Turkey, or second oldest is in Turkey, which is interesting. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know about Turkey. I don't know. That kind of came out of nowhere. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know why. I don't know why they would have it in Turkey, but they don't have it in Egypt. Didn't have it in Egypt during the time of the pharaohs. That's kind of weird, right? Didn't have it anywhere else in Europe either. In Europe, the reason. Anyways, that's a different thing. So I don't know. Okay. Is in this partnership, both parties perform their necessary goal in the media. Hit the like button. Hit that damn like button. I think if people have gone to sleep, so it's all good. Don't know if I have the mental fortitude to go back. Yeah, I didn't think I did either, but I realized that I was holding myself back. So, didn't know. Oh, shit. All right. All right, where are we at? Okay, y'all. I think we've Oh, Mazika, hey, good seeing you. I'm the same way. It really messes with me sometimes trying to do 5 year, 10 year plans. Yeah. By nature, I want to do 5 year plan, 10 year plan, blah, blah, blah. This is what every morning I make one of these, right? I'm not gonna hold it because I don't want you guys to know my secret plans, right? But I make one of these, like a list of stuff I'm gonna do, and I cross them off, and it helps me, right? That helps me on that level. But I've learned to try not to do it so much into the future because that doesn't work for me. My offer, let me put it that way. My offer thrives in chaos. Okay, my offer thrives in chaos, and so I can't try to structure it too much because that's not me. Me is let's go see what this is all about, right? And that always works. And that always you got the feeling, all right, follow that, follow your chi, follow your chi, follow your chi. Okay, this is where we're going. Okay, bet, right? I'm ready, right? But while you're doing that, fortifying yourself and being ready and things like that, right? Physically, mentally, all that stuff. So, yeah. Izenwa, thoughts on Oja flute? Izenwa, let's do this. Come back to the next live. I'll talk all about the Oja flute. Make sure to ask this question, okay? To be honest, you're saying all the areas of study I've thought about, but something tells me not to go back right now. But right, sure. So yeah, John, do that. Do that. It's all good. This is just for me, right? This is just for me. I'm not saying everybody. I don't think anybody else should do it either, right? Or this is me, right? This is my me thing. So I'll demo. Anyways, thank you guys very much for being here. I have a new video called eGolf. My brain's not working now. eGolf explained. eGolf, IGOLOFO. eGolf is your key to accessing, like to higher spiritual access, right? So when you want to do the big things, Ekili, astral projection, this is important for that. just big things, right? Or just keeping yourself in your spiritual house. Igor is the ritual. It's also the oldest recorded ritual in human history, right? Because it dates back to Kemet. So if you're interested in that, Old Kingdom Kemet. So if you're interested in that, it's Igor Ofo, Igoofo. Just look it up on YouTube. YouTube punishes you if you put links now. So I'm trying to avoid links. It's also one of the reasons I didn't like warn everybody, hey, I'm about to go live, because it punishes that now. So I have to do these sneak attack lives more often. Also, hit the thumbs up. That YouTube likes that. Anna Byron. Anna Ndewo or Ann Byron. Ndewo. I think it's my first time seeing that name, so I hope we see you around. I'm about to leave, so you're late, but welcome. It's a refreshing way to live because you're conditioned to plan, plan, plan. Yeah, it's much more refreshing. It's freeing. It's freeing, right? So, like I said, I don't know when I'm supposed to graduate. You're like, oh, how long do you have? And I don't want to look. I don't want nobody to surprise it from me. I want to wake up one day and be like, hey, you got to graduate. This is the last quarter. Like, oh, okay, all right. This is the last semester. Oh, okay, cool. That kind of thing. That's the feeling I want to have. I don't want to have it like, oh man, 6,000 more days. Ah, damn it, 5,301. No, I just want to wake up and be like, okay, you're done. Like, all right, bet, cool, right? So, as weird as it sounds, my wife thinks I'm crazy. I don't know when I'm. I don't know when I'm graduating. And low key, having 100% said, okay, this is the direction, right? So, but it's gonna reveal itself to me with time. So I'll do more. Traveling to the continent forces you to calm down with that. Otherwise, you'll be mad the whole time. Indigo, anybody that goes to Africa, I'll say Africa as a whole, that is the best advice you can give somebody is calm down. Just go with the flow, right? Go with the flow. And then like because people always like making these videos. Oh, I landed at the airport and this happened and that happened. Bro, just hey, it's okay. It's okay. For one, nobody's gonna judge you for being late, so you're just making yourself mad for no reason, right? It's not like here. You're not gonna get punished for inconveniences, right? If you tell us, oh, okay, my driver was supposed to come at 1, or no, I'm sorry, at 10 and they came at 1. Fuck it, dude. Just go there and have a good time, right? You know what I mean? Once you just let all that stuff go and enjoy the now, best place in the world to be. But you can't carry that mentality with you, right? Can't bring it in. You gotta just go with the flow. The bullshit is 50% of the fun. People are always like, oh, you can't be in Nigeria. They take the lights. Nigga, that's the best time. That's the best. It's just pitch ass dark. That's the real shit. Like that's that. Yeah, that's my childhood. That's what I remember. Right? Hey, I light a match, and I use the match to go find the lamp, and I put the lamp. I'm kerosene lamp. I'm from kerosene lamp era. You put the kerosene lamp, and then you just walk. You go walk and find somebody. You sit down and hang out with them. Or okay, Nepa's taking light. Let's go outside and play. Let's go outside and hang out. You know what I mean? For some reason, when Nepa takes light, it's cooler. It's chill. Like that shit don't bother me. But that's how you just be. It's the moment, bro. Be in the moment. You can only get mad when you think, oh, it's supposed to be this way, but it's not that way. No, it is. It's like this right now. But you got all the ingredients you need to have a good time and have fun. Just have it. That's the best advice. If you go in there with that, even like people are like, oh, I'm going to start a business in Africa and this is going to be our business. Bro, don't fucking plan that shit. Don't plan that. Just okay. I want to do this thing, then just go do it, right? And normally it's supposed to go. Oh, that's how you do. It? Okay, bet. Oh, word. Okay, right. That's why there's this psychiatric disorder called adjustment disorder. It's when people who move to like a new. It can happen in multiple places, but one of them is like if you move to a new environment, the radical shift in everything can actually affect you psychologically, right? Brian, I've never met a Nigerian with adjustment disorder. I have never, it has, and they travel like habitually. you can't tell a Nigerian to stay still. They have to go to some bullshit places too. They'll go anywhere. Right now, there's Nigerians trying to get in Iran right now. Right now. Right now. There's some trying to get into Iran right now. They don't care, right? But I think it comes from living in Nigeria, because I think that adjustment disorder is being too precious about stuff. Sometimes it's like, hey, this whole thing can flip upside down, and it's cool, man. Just keep rolling, right? So I don't know, I'm ranting right now. But bro, hold on. I just got prescribed to adjustment disorder by an older Igbo therapist. Okay, so SM1, you're the first. You're the first. Oh shit. Yeah, I remember that because my mother used to, she worked in the field, and they were sending her a lot of refugees. And the thing that was hitting everybody, like a lot of refugees from Sudan, from South Sudan. And the thing that was affecting a lot of people was adjustment disorder, right? Just this shit. Because a refugee you don't plan. If you're a refugee, you don't decide where you go. Your life gets turned upside down, then you get taken and put in another place. And now you have to figure it out. It can be the most alienating, isolating, confusing, overwhelming thing that anybody can go through. So that first generation of South Sudanese people, I was like really, like I knew a lot of them. They're going through a lot, right? They're going through a lot. Now it's kind of even out because they're used to it now. But that first wave, oh man, they're going through it, right? They're going through it. Imagine learning that there's a thing called CPS. For 6,000 years, you've been flogging your kid, right? And now you can take your kid, right? Things like that. So imagine the kid learning there's a thing called CPS, right? How do you know it's adjustment disorder and not PTSD? I personally can't give you a perfect answer, but I can tell you that adjustment disorder is not trauma based, right? It's not trauma based. It's not that like there's a thing about PTSD, and this is like a simplification, but it's almost like you touch fire and you learn it's hot, and because of that, you have this natural, like kind of instinctive reaction whenever you encounter a trigger of that trauma, right? Adjustment disorder is radically different. Adjustment disorder doesn't get triggered by anything. It's like a mood. You're just there. It's where you're at, right? PTSD it requires triggers, and then PTSD can also like change your behavior. PTSD can also change your behaviors, and so forth. But there's a relationship with triggers that adjustment disorder doesn't have. And that adjustment disorder is not necessarily trauma. It's just the you're wired for A, you exist in B now, and now you feel alienated. There's an alienated feeling, right? And then that can lead to a lot of like acting up and all these different things, right? Like, and so forth. But it's not the same as PTSD, right? So I hope that kind of helps. I'm not supposed to be answering any questions. So y'all, refugees are traumatized. Yeah, refugees are going to have both PTSD and adjustment disorder, right? So if their reality doesn't change radically, they probably wouldn't exhibit a lot of the adjustment disorder like symptoms and so forth, obviously, right? But because of the nature of being a refugee, you're gonna have both, right? You're gonna have both. You understand? And they're treated separately. They're treated as two different things, and they have to be treated as two different things, right? So people have adjustment disorder when they go on vacation. People don't realize it's like when you go on vacation, you're more likely to like fight the people you go to vacation with. Like you're in a different space. A lot of that is adjustment disorder, right? But it's kind of culturally it's okay. So y'all, we're starting our traditional medicine class and our Igbo language class very soon. I'm going to be moving the dates to August. Send me a message or go to www.kedu.me to reserve your seat. I'm going to be sending out emails pretty soon as well. So that being said, uno gadi, uno geto, nkobala, uno tiriaka, gadi no wa, gadi utwa, neke. Muri na fo na nkwo. Ise, and she can.